Taking a look at Bitcoin on the 4-hourly. In my previous video, I mentioned that we could very well see a inverse head and shoulders pattern play out like this. You can see that we did have a breakout of the neckline and a retest of it, but the high we set back here was lower than this one right here. And it actually looks like we're using the neckline as a level of support here. And currently we are trading within this green box of support. That's a little concerning to me, especially considering the more often we test zones of support or resistance, the more likely we are to break through them. So in this case, we had a move to the downside into this. So the more we test this, we should likely find a move out of it to the downside. And really once this happened right here, when we set a lower high from this one, it pretty much nullified this inverse head and shoulders pattern. If anything, we'll likely see something like this, then have another move down, potentially to the 200 weekly moving average. Now, if we do find support here, which we have in the past, that's why this green box is here, we've actually found very strong support out of here. So if we do find support out of here, we'll likely find resistance again at this uptrending level of resistance. If we turn on the Ichimoku cloud and the EMA ribbon here, you can see Bitcoin has been testing the EMA ribbon quite a bit. But you can also see here that we did find resistance off of the Ichimoku cloud, which knocked us further down. If we can keep kind of testing these levels of resistance, we could very well break this to the upside, have somewhat of a rounded bottom here. But the longer we stay down here, in my opinion, the more we're going to wear out this level of support and ultimately trend lower. On the daily, you can see the EMA ribbon is catching up with the price action, which isn't a good sign. You can see we've already tested it back here. So if we do break this to the upside, it could be something, again, like I mentioned, where we kind of trade sideways for a little bit longer and then break it to the upside as this cools down. But again, the only problem with that is we'll be testing this zone so much that if we do find a move back out of here and come back down to it, it could very well break it to the downside. And really, depending on how much we test this, it could just blow right through it without a bounce. And this would make sense, especially considering that this would be somewhat of a bear flag pattern, right? So what we can do is take a leg from here to here, kind of estimating the price range from this, and if we do break out of this to the downside, we could very well see a move to around $20,000. The Ichimoku cloud on the daily isn't of much concern as of yet, but it is starting to widen, so again, we need to move out of here relatively quickly, or at least do something like this where we chip away at the EMA ribbon and break this to the upside, or else the Ichimoku cloud is just going to follow the price action down, and when we do have, or even if we do have a move out of here, it could very well send us further down. The hourly is not giving us much information because we're trading sideways, so you can see all the indicators are pretty much flipping back and forth. You can see we keep getting rejected off of the 200 hourly EMA, which really isn't a great sign. This really looked like a good opportunity to break it to the upside, as we've had multiple tests of this, but it ended up more of a Bart Simpson pattern. So to sum things up here, this could very well be a bear flag playing out for another push down. The bottom will likely be at the 200 weekly, 200 moving average. If you look here, it is sitting around this red line at around 22K. So if we do break out of this to the downside, we'll likely come down to the 200 weekly moving average, as we're pretty magnetic to that level in the past. If we do find a bounce here eventually, I'd expect some pretty heavy resistance around this uptrending level of resistance here. You can see it kept Bitcoin in an uptrend, or at least a small uptrend since the beginning of the year. So if we do find resistance here, we could blow through this green box to the downside. And really at this point, the only thing that's really helping Bitcoin out in the bullish scenario is the fear and greed index. You can see we've been pretty much below 10, or at least around the range of 10 for quite some time now, actually a very long time now. So usually when this is low, it reverses at some point. Now this could fluctuate back and forth between, say, 20, 13, and 10 over and over again as we go down, making lower highs and lower lows. But again, this is usually a pretty good indication that the bottom is near. And also, it's worth a mention, I've been seeing a lot of ads lately on like Facebook and Instagram, all these FUD ads saying Bitcoin's going to zero, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. If anything, that's even more of an indication that a bottom is near, because if you remember back here, everyone was saying, including JP Morgan and all these investment firms, that Bitcoin could very well go to 100K, and then it stopped out at 69K. And back here in the bear market of 2018 and 2019, everyone was saying, oh, Bitcoin, probably within this range, Bitcoin was going to $0, and then you know what happened. So usually that means that a bottom is near. That doesn't mean we can't have another leg down, but that's usually a pretty good indication that, hey, everyone says that this is failing, then it's probably going to do the opposite. This is all I have for Bitcoin today. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and do so, as I try to post content daily. As always, this is not financial advice, and I'll see you in the next one.